Hey, what's up guys? Bajheera here. I've got some Legion Alpha Fury Warrior duels, which is really my first look at Legion PvP. Now keep in mind, there's two things to remember about this video. One, these are essentially low-level PvP duels. Two, this is Legion Alpha, so it is very much in development. Do not take this as like the definitive Legion PvP balance. This is just two low-level characters essentially, you know, dueling it out, see what happens. So, from my experience, in a lot of these duels, and what you'll see is Fury Warriors definitely deal damage. And you're going to notice that there are a few abilities that you don't have. Like, you don't have a whole lot of defensives, you don't have a whole lot of CC. But that's pretty much been the story with just about every class. Because it seems like a lot of classes have some sort of heal and some sort of defensive, and the duels go by pretty quickly. You know, if there are certain classes with better self-healing, like there's a duel against a Death Knight that I had later on, where his Death Strikes kept him in the fight for a while. And then, of course, there's duels against, like, Demon Hunters where, you know, when they're not in demon form, it's kind of even, and you can definitely get some good damage going on them. But when they pop demon form, it's a 6-minute cooldown, and it behaves like a 6-minute cooldown. So this guy's pretty low. He's going to be able to do a lot of damage to me. I'm going to try to, like, think about cutting him around a little bit, hitting some stuns, but I walk into his I-beam for, like, 2 seconds and almost die. So I'm going to pop my Rallying Cry, which is kind of one of your defensives, and then I pop in Rage Regen, which is a huge heal, really nice. But my puny heal does not compete with his massive lifesteal, so we're gonna lose the duel to the full-on demon form Demon Hunter, which is serious business. But when we duel again and they don't have demon form available, it's a little bit different of a story. So as a Fury Warrior, what I'm doing right now is I'm using a spec that doesn't have like the most burst cooldown. Like I don't have like Avatar or Dragon Roar, but what I do have is, of course, what I'm doing right now is I'm hitting Shockwave, Recklessness, hitting my Artifact Weapon, and then a full Rage Rampage. I'm able to Heroic Leap right as it goes to the I-Beam, so he's pretty much done. I'm just going to charge back in, hit him with the Execute, and call it a day. But, so for me, my dueling strategy for this warrior right now is basically around pooling Rage, hitting a stun, popping Recklessness, using my Artifact Weapon, and then hitting a full Rage Rampage. And I have the talent that makes Rampage kind of behave a little bit like Execute, where it'll use a certain amount of rage, but it'll also, you know, use all the rage that you have to make the Rampage do more damage. And Recklessness is now 1 minute cooldown, where for the next 5 seconds, all of your abilities will be crits. So, you know, Rampage is a channeled ability, lasts about 3 seconds long, hits 5 times during that thing. So you stun, pop Rec, you know, about 1.5 seconds is used on your Artifact Burst. The rest of the 3 seconds that's left, or whatever, 3.5 seconds that's left, is used on your full Rage Rampage. So you can, like, 100-0 people with that. And the reason I'm using the talents that I'm using right now is because I feel like it. One of the cool things about Warriors right now is that I think Warriors, you know, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I think Warriors have, like, the coolest talent tree. Because you can either choose to have more abilities to press, like actual new buttons, like Overpower, Heroic Strike. You have an ability called Frenzy, which reminds me of Wild Strike, but it actually stacks up your haste. So you know, you attack faster, you generate rage faster. Or you can choose like Avatar, which replaces things like Overpower. You can use Dragon Roar, which is another... Dragon Roar's actually been buffed. It's on a lower cooldown, still does damage, still always crits, but now also makes you do 20% increased damage, you know, after you Dragon Roar for like a couple seconds. So that's pretty cool. Me, I'm somewhere in between. I'm using a spec that gives me more rage. I do like mostly using the Frenzy ability that makes me have a small attack, doesn't cost very much rage, but increases my attack speed. I think that's all pretty fun. And the reason I'm playing that spec is not because I necessarily think it's the absolute best, but just because I think it's fun to play. So like I said, with Alpha, my interest is less in like finding what's absolutely the most OP thing, and more about, you know, what I think is fun. That being said, when you find a spec that you think is fun and you play it well, it often works out okay. But mostly in these duels, I'm kind of just, like I said, pooling Rage, going for those full Rage Rampages, because I am using the talent that gives Rampage, you know, more damage the more rage you have. And I can go through talents again at some other point, and I definitely know that I'll be making sort of warrior guides about what specs you could choose, and not necessarily what you should play most often, especially early on. I mean, who's gonna know exactly what you should be doing? But definitely make some guides about like what you can do. Like if you use this spec, this gives you the ability to have Overpower and Heroic Strikes. If you like to press a lot of abilities, then that's a good one for you. You know, when you're dueling mages, for example, you might want to drop one of your talents and choose Blade Storm instead. Just because, you know, once you get Nova'd, you're pretty much dead unless they break it. So, like, you don't have a lot of like CC breaks now. I mean, obviously, like you can break the damage, but there's not as much CC and there's not as much CC breaks, it seems like. At least right now. So a lot of people are looking at their classes and be like, oh my gosh, they gutted my class. We're gonna be terrible. But keep in mind that most people's classes have lost a lot of abilities that they thought were essential. Like Warriors don't have Spell Reflect anymore, but it just kind of is how it is. You know, a lot of classes don't have those big defensives. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, it seems like people have, for the most part, you know, 2 defensives, maybe 2 forms of CC. Warriors have like a stun, and they have like charge stun, so that's basically their 2 CCs. And that pretty much holds true for a lot of the classes that I've seen so far. But it is pretty fun playing these low-level duels because it does very much feel like low-level PvP. You hit really, really hard. Like it seems like your HP isn't fully scaled up to where your damage is, so you do a lot of damage to a smaller health pool. So, like whenever I get like a full rampage off with a lot of rage, it chunks people so much. But that's also because I have recklessness up and stuff like that. So when I see things like Warriors don't have fear or don't have die by the sword, it doesn't really terrify me as much because I'm playing the beta and I'm noticing that other classes, you know, are on par with Warriors in a lot of ways. And just in terms of the amount of abilities that you have for certain purposes. But the main thing I'm focused on right now when I'm playing the alpha is does it feel fun? And it definitely feels fun. Warriors, I mean, I'm really happy with what they've done. It seems like Warriors have like the coolest talent trees. They have a lot of new animations. You can just tell by watching my Warrior, you know, swinging those swords around. There's a lot of new stuff, a lot of cool abilities, and I'm having a blast. So just wanted to share with you guys a few duels that I've had on the alpha so far. Hopefully you guys enjoyed them. More than happy to bring more for you. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!